Welcome to EPG Pathshala. Dear students, in today's module, we are going to discuss about anaerobic digestion and the biogas production. Anaerobic digestion for the biogas production is a biochemical process for the energy recovery, and also it helps in the reduction of greenhouse gases, especially the methane from the organic waste generated. Our rural India has a vast potential of the biogas generation from its huge quantity of organic waste. It is also a suitable technology for the urban and peri-urban regions to manage the organic household waste. So, in today's module, the objectives are: what is anaerobic digestion, what are the feedstocks for the biogas generation, what is the composition of biogas, what is the production process or the biochemistry and microbiology involved in the biogas production, what are the types of biogas plant, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of this biogas. And also we will see some of the biogas related mathematical problems and also the constraints in the biogas production. Let us start with what is anaerobic digestion. It is a biological process that occurs in the absence of oxygen in the presence of anaerobic microorganisms at ambient pressure and temperature that converts organic matter of the plant or animal origin to the biogas and the manure. The complex organic matter are converted to 1-carbon compounds that representing most oxidized or the carbon dioxide and the most reduced methane. Anaerobic digestion is a simple process which breaks down readily the degradable organic matter in a series of steps by different bacteria or the microbes that consume organic material as a substrate, and it converts into biogas and nutrient rich manure. It also provides the digested slurry and it ensures in the nutrient recycling. The biogas is a clean and efficient fuel which is used for cooking, lighting, water pumping and other power applications. There are natural environment of this methane production like swamp area, river sediments, lakes, seas and the digestive tracts of ruminants. So, the anaerobic digestion occurs naturally in those parts. Now, what is biogas? The biogas we have seen it is generated when bacteria degrade biological material in the absence of oxygen in the process of anaerobic digestion. It is a mixture of methane and carbon dioxide. Biogas is popularly known as gobar gas, especially in India, as it is produced from the cattle dung. It is also known as marsh gas, landfill gas or digester gas based on the place of origin. This biogas is a renewable fuel which is produced from the waste treatment. It is, we have seen that its name is landfill gas as it is produced in the landfill sites due to the decomposition of organic material inside this landfill, which is a natural process. And the methane emission from the decomposition of this open dumping, it has a greenhouse effect of 21-fold that of carbon dioxide. And if you use this biogas for the energy purpose, it can lead to a net reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Now, we will see brief history of this biogas. Van Helmont recognized this inflammable gas evolved from the putrefaction of organic mass in 1630. Alessandro Volta in 1776 reported this marsh gas emission as a function of the decay of organic matter in marshy land, and it was the methane. And the chemical formula of this methane was given by Dalton in 1804. Sir Humphrey Davy reported the gases which is produced by the cattle manure was the methane in 1808. The anaerobic digestion of the organic waste for the methane production was explored since 1897 with the installation of first anaerobic digester which was built at Matunga Lepers Asylum in Bombay, which is in India. It was installed in 1859 and the biogas was recovered from a sewage system in England in 1895 and used to fuel street lamps. The anaerobic bacteria and the condition needed to promote the methane production were identified in 1930. Now, we will see what are the feedstock which can be used for the biogas production. The biogas is produced from organic waste irrespective of the composition and with limited feedstock preparation. The substrate with a range of moisture content can be used for biogas generation. with its organic carbon in it. The solid or slurries, concentrated or dilute liquids of the organic waste can be used for this purpose. The organic fraction of waste of the plant and animal origin has the potential for the biogas production. The solid biomass like the animal manure, including the cattle manure, swine manure, poultry droppings, even human excreta, which is known as the night soil, and the household food waste or municipal organic waste, farm waste paper, sewage sludge, crop residues, agro waste are other solid biomass which can be used for the biogas production. The liquid organic waste like domestic wastewater, which containing the organic carbon in it, and the industrial wastewater like the wastewater produced from the food processing plants, breweries and the vines, meat and poultry processing, paper and pulp, textile mills and dairy wastewater. The manures are widely used feedstock for the biogas production. The biogas yield per ton of fresh cattle dung is around 55 to 68 cubic meter. Let us see the composition of biogas. Biogas is a mixture of gases which is mainly composed of methane and carbon dioxide. It is characterized based on its chemical composition and the physical characteristics are results from it. The components of biogas by volume is, in this table you can see the composition of the biogas. The methane is around 50 to 70%, carbon dioxide is 20 to 40%, nitrogen is 0 to 5%, hydrogen is 0 to 1% and hydrogen sulfide H2S is 0.1 to 0.5%. The methane is the chief combustible component and that determines the biofuel property or the quality. The relative percentages, the quantity and quality of the gas which is produced during the anaerobic digestion depends on quality of the feed material and the process conditions which we use for this production. Normally, it is rich in methane with major impurities of hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide and water, and it has a calorific value of 5000 to 7000 kilocalories per cubic meter. Sometimes this carbon dioxide which is present in the digester is not necessarily a contaminant, but it dilutes the energy content of the biogas and hence it lower its calorific value. So, in order to improve the fuel quality, you have to remove the CO2 or scrub the CO2 for the improvement in the fuel efficiency. Let us see how this anaerobic digestion differ from the aerobic digestion. You can see in this figure, in the case of aerobic digestion, the energy is consumed. You can see the organic matter in the presence of oxygen undergoes the digestion and produces carbon dioxide, sludge and the effluent, and the sludge content in it is 50 to 60% with 5 to 10% effluent. While in the case of anaerobic digestion, the organic matter undergo the digestion process in the absence of oxygen and it produces biogas, which is the major component, which is around 50 to 70%, and sludge content is only the 5 to 15% and effluent content is around 10 to 20% depending upon the feed material. So, you can see in the aerobic digestion the energy is consumed, while in the anaerobic digestion the energy is produced. Now, we will see the biogas production process, the biochemistry and microbiology of this biogas production. Biogas production is an anaerobic fermentation process by different groups of microorganisms that results in the conversion of organic matter in 4 main steps. It is an anaerobic fermentation process which involves decomposition of the complex organic matter by the 4 groups of microorganisms into the fuel and manure. Now, it is a multi-stage process and it is clear from this figure. You can see that the first step is the hydrolysis, where the complex organic compounds are converted into the monomers of sugars, fatty acids and amino acid by the hydrolytic bacteria. And in the second step, it undergoes the acidogenesis process by the acidogenic bacteria, and organic acids like butyric acid, lactic acid and also the ethyl alcohol sometimes are produced. And in the third step, the acetogenesis occurs with the help of homoacidogenic bacteria and it produces acetic acid along with CO2 and hydrogen. And the fourth step is the methanogenesis, which is the most important step, and it was done by the methanogenic bacteria in 2 ways, either by the acetoclastic and the hydrogenotrophic, and produces the methane. So, the hydrolysis is the first step of biogas production, in which the complex organic molecules such as carbohydrates, lipids and proteins are broken down by cellulolytic, lipolytic and proteolytic bacteria into simpler units of monomer sugars from the carbohydrate, amino acids from the proteins and fatty acids from the lipids. Lactobacillus, Propionibacterium, Sphingomonas, Sporobacterium, Megasphaera, Bifidobacterium are few bacteria which are involved in the hydrolysis, or you can say these are the hydrolytic bacteria. The second step is the acidogenesis. Here, the acidogenic bacteria break down the monomer products of the hydrolysis into the organic acids like acetic acid, propionic acid, formic acid, lactic acid, succinic acid, butyric acids and alcohol or ketones along with some amount of ammonia, hydrogen sulfide and H2. Here the major bacteria which are involved in acidogenesis are Clostridium species, Bifidobacterium and Desulfo Vibrio species. Even Corynebacteria and Lactobacillus are also examples of acidogenic bacteria. Now the third step is the acetogenesis. After the acidogenesis, where the acetogenic bacteria convert volatile fatty acids like these lactic, propionic and butyric acids into the acetic acid or the acetate along with CO2 and H2, that is carbon dioxide and hydrogen. Syntrobacter volini and Syntrophomonas wolfei are acetogenic bacteria. Methanogenesis is the most important step in the biogas production. In this step, the methanogenic bacteria which are strictly anaerobic produce the methane by the process of methanogenesis. There are two types of methanogenesis, acetylclastic and hydrogenotrophic methanogenesis. In acetylclastic methanogenesis, the methanogens use acetic acid or acetate from acetogenesis to produce the methane. You can see in this equation acetic acid plus acetic acid produces methane plus CO2. Reaction, the acetylclastic methanogenesis accounts around 70% of the methane that produced from this anaerobic process. Methanosarcina and methanoseta are acetylclastic or acetotrophic bacteria. And the second type of methanogenesis is hydrogenotrophic. Here the methanogens generate methane from hydrogen and carbon dioxide, and methanobacterium is an example of hydrogenotrophic methanogen. Now, what are the parameters which are affecting the methane formation? There are various environmental factors like pH, alkalinity, volatile acid concentration, temperature, nutrient availability and toxic materials. And also the operational factors include the composition of organic substrate, retention time, concentration of the substrate, organic loading rate and degree of mixing also influence the anaerobic fermentation of the organic substrate. Now, we will see one by one in detail. Environmental factors. The first one is the pH. It is an important factor that affects the growth of microbes during the anaerobic fermentation. So, the pH of the digester should be in a range of 6.8 to 7.2. The amount of carbon dioxide and volatile fatty acid produced during the anaerobic process affect the pH of the digester. The methanogenic bacteria are very sensitive to the pH and do not thrive below a value of 5 and above a value of pH 8. When the methane production level is stabilized, the pH range remains buffered between 7.2 and 8.2. And the pH of the slurry is a function of the concentration of VFA, which is produced, bicarbonate alkalinity of the system and the amount of carbon dioxide produced. And the second environmental factor is the temperature inside the digester. It has a major effect on the biogas production. There are different temperature range during which anaerobic fermentation carried out. Psychrophilic, mesophilic and thermophilic. Psychrophilic, the temperature is below 30 degree, mesophilic 30 to 40 degree and thermophilic 50 to 60 degree Celsius. But the anaerobes are most active in the mesophilic and thermophilic temperature. The temperature is one of the major factors that affect the growth of microorganisms and the biogas generation. So, for a satisfactory gas production, the mesophilic range and optimum temperature for the biogas production is 35 degree Celsius. The nutrient availability is also an important factor for the biogas production. The major nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium and sulfur are important. The cattle dung and the organic waste, due to their biological origin, it contains all the major and minor nutrients, and hence nutrient limitation is not observed if we are using the cattle manures. The toxic compounds like volatile acids, ammonia, heavy metals, sulfides, tannins affect negatively the biogas production. CN ratio is an important parameter in the biogas production. The anaerobic microbes need a 20 to 30:1 ratio of carbon to nitrogen with largest percentage of carbon, which is being readily degradable for the anaerobic digestion. That means If the CN ratio was very high, the nitrogen was consumed rapidly by the methanogens for meeting their protein requirement and was no longer react on the leftover carbon content of the material, and as a result the gas production was low. On the other hand, if the CN ratio was very low, the nitrogen was liberated and accumulated in the form of ammonia, which increased the pH value of the content in the digester. The waste material that is low in carbon can be combined with materials which is high in nitrogen to attain a desired CN ratio of 30:1. So, the optimum CN ratio for the anaerobic digestion, you can say it is around 30:1. Now, the organic loading rate. The gas production rate is highly dependent on this organic loading rate. The optimum feed rate for a particular size of a plant which will produce maximum gas and beyond which further increase in the quantity of substrate is not proportionately produce more gas. The solid concentration, the amount of fermentable material of the feed in a unit volume of slurry is defined as solid concentration, and the optimum biogas production from the manures were observed at a total solid rate of 10 to 15%. The waste with a higher total solid content can be used for high solid treatment, or it will require dilution with, that is preferably with the effluent if it is to be treated as a slurry. So, the total solid rate should be taken care of while using it for the biogas production. Now, HRT or the hydraulic retention time. It is the average time spent by the input slurry inside the digester for its complete production of biogas and before the sludge is removed from the digester. The retention time was also dependent on the temperature, and up to 35 degrees Celsius, the higher the temperature, the lower the retention time. The optimum loading rate of the feedstock varied as per its nature, and similarly the HRT varied as per loading rate. So, in the tropical countries like India, HRT varies from 30 to 50 days, while in countries with colder climate it go up to 100 days. The shorter the retention time is likely to face the risk of washout of active bacterial population, while longer retention time requires a larger volume of digester and hence more capital cost. But this HRT is depending upon the substrate which we are used for the biogas production. What are the components of a biogas plant? One is the mixing tank. The feed material is collected in the mixing tank and the sufficient water is added and the material is thoroughly mixed till a homogeneous slurry is formed. The second component is the inlet pipe. The substrate is discharged into the digester through the inlet pipe of the tank. Third is the digester. The slurry is fermented inside the digester and biogas is produced through bacterial action. So, you can say the heart of a biogas plant is the digester. The fourth one is the gas holder or gas storage dome. The biogas gets collected in the gas holder that holds the gas until the time of consumption. And next is the outlet pipe. The digested slurry is discharged into the outlet tank either through the outlet pipe or the opening provided in the digester. And we also have another component, gas pipeline. This gas pipeline carries the gas to the point of utilization such as stove or lamp. Let us see the cattle dung. If the cattle dung is used as a feedstock for the biogas plant, how much cattle dung is required? It depends upon the average daily feedstock, hydraulic retention time and digester volume. We can see this with an example. 1 kilogram of cow dung along with equal quantity of water under the anaerobic condition in a day produces 40 liters or you can say 0.04 cubic meter of the biogas. Now, with this background, we can solve a problem. Find out the quantity of cow dung which is required for a biogas plant that generates 1 cubic meter of biogas with a production of 40 liter biogas per kg of cow dung per day. So, now, what is the capacity of the biogas plant? 1 cubic meter, and the biogas production from 1 kilogram of cow dung per day is 40 liter or 0.04 cubic meter per kilogram of the cow dung. Therefore, the quantity of cow dung required for 1 cubic meter is equal to 1 cubic meter divided by 0.04 cubic meter, that is per kg of cow dung which is produced. We can have 25 kilogram of dung. So, the cow dung which is required for 1 cubic meter of biogas production is 25 kilogram. Now, let us calculate the digested volume for a biogas plant. The digested volume is equal to daily feed liter per day multiplied by retention time which is in days. The calculate digested volume for a daily feed of 25 kilogram of cow dung for an HRT of 40 days. So, the fermentation slurry is 25 kilogram cow dung plus equal amount, that is 25 liter of water. So, the fermentation slurry volume is 50 liter. Now, the digested volume is equal to 50 liter per day multiplied by 40 days will get 2000 liter, which is equal to 2 cubic meter. So, that is the digester volume. Now, what are the types of biogas plant? The main types of biogas plant which is used in India are fixed dome, floating drum and the balloon type or the bag type. Fixed dome type biogas plant. This type of biogas plant is made up of one unit which consists of the digester, gas storage dome and the slurry displacement chamber. And the plant is constructed in bricks or stone with cement sand mortar. Here, the utmost care is required during its construction, especially during the internal plastering to make the plant leak proof. Here, in this plant, with the production of gas, the slurry is displayed into the compensating tank. You can see it in the figure. The gas pressure increases with the volume of gas stored. If there is little gas in the holder, the gas pressure is low. The approved models under this category are Janta type and the Deenbandhu model. The Janta plant is cylindrical. The digester and gas storage, this is cylindrical in shape and topped by a dome. And the Deenbandhu type consists of two hemispherical segments, and this plant is constructed only with bricks with cement and mortar. And it is adopted successfully since 1990. And its construction cost is 31.2% less than the Janta biogas plant, and it produces 12% more gas than Janta biogas plant. Now, the floating drum type, it provides gas at constant pressure. The other one was constant volume, this is constant pressure. This type of plant is made up of two integral units. One is a gas holder and the second one is a cement brick constructed digester with inlet and outlet pipes. The gas holder floats either direct on the fermentation slurry or in a water jacket of its own, and this gas collects in the gas drum which thereby rises. If the gas is drawn off, it falls again. The gas drum is normally prevented from the tilting by a guide frame, and there are a number of plants of this model like KVIC, Ganesh, Ferrocement, Pragati, which are approved by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Source. And normally this plant is fully leak proof and it provides gas at constant pressure. And the third type is balloon type or bag type or flexi type biogas plant. It is a portable unit which can conveniently be placed at any location. It consists of two parts, a lower part for the digester and the upper part for the gas storage. And it is normally made up of neoprene rubber reinforced with nylon, and the collected gas in the plant is under very low pressure. So, additional weight sometimes needed to put on the top of the plant in the form of sandbags to provide the gas at the recommended pressure. And it consists of plastic or rubber digester bag in the upper part of which the gas is stored. And the inlet and outlet are attached direct to the skin of the balloon. When the gas space is full, the plant works like a fixed dome plant. You can see it in the figure. And it has advantages like low cost, ease of transportation, easy cleaning, emptying and maintenance. But disadvantages like short lifespan, easily damaged and low employment opportunity compared to the other two types. You can see in this slide the models of biogas plants in India. Fixed dome plant with brick reinforced molded dome, which we have already seen, that is Janta model. Fixed dome plant with hemisphere digester, that is Deenbandhu model. And under the floating drum type, you can see with the cylindrical digester, that is KVIC model, Khadi and Village Industries Commission. The other one is which is made up of angular steel and plastic foil, which is Ganesh model, and floating drum plant with hemisphere digester, that is Pragati model. And the floating drum plant, which is made up of prefabricated reinforced concrete compound units, are also there, and also with the fiberglass reinforced polyester is also there. What are the uses of biogas? It is used for the cooking. It can be used in specially designed burner for the cooking purpose. A biogas plant of 2 cubic meters capacity is sufficient for providing cooking fuel which is needed for a family of 5 persons. It can be used in lighting. It is used in silk mandel lamps for the lighting purpose. The requirement of a gas for powering a 100 candle lamp, which is 60 watt, is 0.13 cubic meters per hour. And it is used for the power generation. So, the biogas can be used to operate a dual fuel engine to replace up to 80% of diesel oil. The diesel engines have been modified to run 100% which is on the biogas. Otherwise, up to 80% it can run on the same engine. The petrol and the CNG engines can also be modified, which can be easily to use the biogas. So, this is also used for as a transport fuel. So, after the removal of carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide and water vapor, the biogas can be converted to natural gas quality for the use in vehicles. The power generation and as a vehicle fuel by using the biogas fueled engines is widely spread around the world, especially in the remote areas where there is no electric power transport infrastructure is available. And the combined heat and power generation increases overall efficiency and provides environmental and economic benefits. Several operating strategies are already investigated with these air fuel ratios for a stationary engine. The carbon dioxide emission are also less for this biogas used fuel engines. Apart from this, this can also be used as a fertilizer. The recovery of the plant nutrients from the biogas plant, as the biogas spent sludge, it has various nutrient content in it and it is a rich source of nutrients for the plants. And it gives an economic return to the farmer using this biogas technology. So, the advantages of biogas usage are, it is a potential energy source, it gives an additional manure for the crops, less energy is required for its production and sludge production is also comparatively less, and there is elimination of off-gas air pollutants and the environmental benefits like greenhouse gas reduction. It reduces the odor, it protects water resources and removes pathogens, and also the fly control. There is fly control after the biogas production. But the disadvantages are the delay in the startup, it requires alkalinity addition and more sensitive to adverse effect of the lower temperature on the reaction rate, and it is more susceptible to the toxic substances. If you see the biogas potential of India, it is estimated that 12 million biogas plants of 2 cubic meter, which is capable of producing 17,000 megawatt energy, but installed plants is only 4.75 million, and that is only the 42.7% of the target value. What are the implementing agencies for this biogas? State nodal departments and the agencies are involved in the implementation of the National Biogas and Manure Management Program. The Khadi and Village Industries Commission, Mumbai, is very much involved in the implementation of the program throughout the country through its state offices. What is the cost of a biogas plant? 1 cubic meter biogas plant costs around 16,000 to 18,000, and also some subsidies provided for this, it is around 5,500. And for the 2 to 6 cubic meters, it costs around 22,000 to 25,000 and subsidy is around 9,000. Though they have advantages, there are some constraints which are faced by this, by the farmers for the implementation of this biogas plant in their home. One is technical constraints. Highly skilled personnel is required for the installation and maintenance of biogas plant. Improper preparation and influent solids leading to the blockage and the scum formation. The temperature fluctuations, maintenance of pH for the optimal growth of methanogenic bacteria, the CN ratio, dilution ratio of the influent solid content, the corrosion of gas holder, pinhole leakages in the digester tank, holder, inlet, outlet pipe, etc. are some of the technical problems which are involved in the biogas production and usage. And the second one is the financial constraints. The digester design, high transportation cost of the digester material, installation and maintenance cost, increasing labor cost in the distribution of the biogas products for the domestic purpose is also a major constraint. Social constraints and psychological prejudice against the use of raw materials, especially the night soil, that is the human excreta, it prevents the biogas from its wide use. Since there is a scarcity in the availability of the dung. The next constraint is the environmental constraint. Most of the digesters in our country operate normally at the ambient condition. North India records a shortfall in biogas output during winter, and in some other parts of the country, especially in the dry tracts, also affect the digester performance due to higher temperature. So, the low temperature and the high temperature affects the biogas production. There are different ways of enhancing the biogas production. It involves the use of additives, recycling of digested slurry and slurry filtrate, variation in the operational parameters like temperature, hydraulic retention time, particle size of the substrate, and use of fixed film or biofilters. So, to summarize, we have seen what is biogas digestion and what is biogas. We have seen a brief history of the biogas and what are the feedstock which can be used for the biogas production. And we have seen the composition of biogas with methane content as the combustible matter, combustible component in it. We have seen the biochemistry and microbiology of biogas production involving the 4 steps: hydrolysis, acidogenesis, acetogenesis, and methanogenesis. We have seen different types of biogas plant, different components of biogas plant. We have seen the fixed dome, floating drum, and balloon type biogas plant. We have seen the advantage and disadvantages of biogas plant with benefits, social as well as environmental benefits. And we have also seen some of the mathematical problems related with the requirement of the cattle dung quantity as well as the digested volume. At last, we have seen the constraints which are involved in the biogas production and how we can improve the biogas technology. Thank you.